August 24th, Mike Lynch. Welcome to 365 Christian Men, where every day we aim to inspire and encourage with real-life stories about men. Mike Lynch was a U.S. Army gunner who got knocked for a horrific loop. Today's story shows how Mike handled it. On this date, in 2018, Mike decided it was time to forgive God.
A genie God is not found in a bottle or a magic lamp, but in a relationship. For 13 years, Mike Lynch wore a thick metal bracelet engraved with his best friend's name, Aaron M. Hudson. Mike and Aaron met in basic training. Together, they deployed to Iraq. Together, they faced Iraq's stifling heat and the putrid smell of burning trash. Together, they withstood Iraq's constant threat of danger. Mike admired Aaron's faith. His own was less established. In boot camp, he could go to the chapel or clean the barracks. So Mike chose chapel. In Iraq, Mike related to God like an all-powerful genie in a bottle. Before Mike went on a mission, he rubbed the bottle and he prayed for safety. One day, Aaron's Humvee had mechanical problems, so Mike's team volunteered to take Aaron's squad's next shift. That night, expecting to head out early on Aaron's shift, Mike told Aaron good night and that he loved him. The next morning, Command sent Aaron's team out in the ASV, a tank with tires instead of tracks. Usually used by Mike's squad, Aaron, a gunner like Mike, sat in Mike's seat. Back at the base around lunchtime, Mike tried to get online, but there was a communication blackout. Whenever a soldier was killed, the Army cut all communication until the family was notified. It happened so often, Mike didn't think much about it. When people started acting strange, Mike connected the dots. For 4 months, Mike had run successful missions from his seat in the ASV. But on April 16, 2005, as Aaron sat there, an explosion from an IED took his life. The next day, it was back to mission. Mike swallowed everything. If he didn't, lives would be endangered. But Mike's whole body revolted. He spent the day puking off the top of the truck. Survivor's guilt stole his sleep. Because of this, the Army gave him sleeping pills. It should have been me, he thought. It was my truck. After his deployment was over, Mike hated being stateside. He was angry, misunderstood, an outsider. He battled PTSD. If he passed trash on the side of the road, he clenched his fists, afraid an IED would explode. For the next 10 years, Mike numbed his pain with alcohol. In 2016, Mike's wife went to church. Mike didn't. He had stopped talking to God back on April 16, 2005. One day, Mike's wife asked him to watch a sermon online. The preacher said that people blamed God for everything bad, that they took credit for everything good. It made Mike begin to think. Because of this, Mike began to go to church. Mike reunited with God, built relationships with others, and 2 months later, he quit drinking. Through Christ, he did a complete 180. As Mike pursued a, quote, with God lifestyle, he attended Operation Heal Our Patriots. At this event, Mike was speaking with a chaplain. In their conversation, the chaplain said, "Sounds like you've blamed God for a long time. Have you forgiven him?" Mike thought, of course. But the chaplain pressed, "Have you ever said it out loud?" Mike stared at the bracelet he'd worn every day for 13 years. Right on his wrist, a constant reminder of the worst day of his life. Mike had held on to the pain to honor his friend, and it had nearly destroyed Mike and his family. But it was not the life that he wanted. It was not the life Aaron would want for him. It was not the life God wanted for him. In a special ceremony, Mike nailed the bracelet to a pole. "I've been mad at you for a long time," he told God. "This is me forgiving you." Mike traded his genie-in-the-bottle religion for a relationship, a real one, and he leans daily on God. Luke 18:27. What is impossible for people is possible with God. Do you treat God like a genie, or do you trust him and do life with him? A genie God is not found in a bottle or in a magic lamp, but in a relationship.
Hello, man. It's August 24th, and it's Greg Books coming to you from Colorado. Great story about Mike Lynch today and the bond of brothers in arms. To me, the story is about forgiveness and relationship. Losing somebody that close to you when literally he was in the seat you should have been, I can't imagine. I can't imagine what he went through. I can certainly imagine blaming God for that. God has a plan for us, but it's not always what we want, and it's not always the way we expect. And so those expectations are very difficult to deal with sometimes. And Mike spent a lot of time trying to process and go through that. He turned to the bottle. It talks about God not being a genie in a bottle and requiring a relationship, and only that relationship with God and that forgiveness that he offered and restoration of his relationship with God, freed him from the crutch and the coping mechanism of a bottle, but also restored him to what God was doing in his life and his marriage, and allowed him to walk once again in God's will and not his own. And that's a great lesson for all of us and our challenge today.